Here's a more detailed description of the top 10 African leaders, highlighting their contributions, leadership styles, and legacies. 1. Nelson Mandela, South Africa, 1918 to 2013. Nelson Mandela was a symbol of the anti-apartheid struggle and a global icon of peace and reconciliation. After spending 27 years in prison for opposing racial segregation, he was released in 1990 and played a crucial role in transitioning South Africa to democracy. In 1994, he became the country's first black president, leading with a vision of unity, forgiveness, and development. His leadership helped heal the divisions of apartheid and laid the foundation for a democratic South Africa. 2. Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana, 1909 to 1972. Nkrumah was the leader of Ghana's independence movement and became its first prime minister and president in 1957. He was a strong advocate for Pan-Africanism, seeking to unite African nations politically and economically. Under his leadership, Ghana built infrastructure, expanded education, and industrialized rapidly. However, his socialist policies and centralization of power led to economic troubles, and he was overthrown in a coup in 1966. Despite this, his influence on African liberation remains immense. 3. Julius Nyerere, Tanzania, 1922 to 1999. Nyerere was the first president of Tanzania and a champion of African socialism, known as Ujamaa. He focused on self-reliance, rural development, and education, making Tanzania one of the most politically stable countries in Africa. Though his economic policies faced challenges, his leadership emphasized unity, and he voluntarily stepped down in 1985, setting a precedent for democratic transitions in Africa. 4. Haile Selassie, Ethiopia, 1892 to 1975. As Emperor of Ethiopia, Haile Selassie modernized his country and resisted colonial rule. He played a key role in founding the Organization of African Unity, OAU, in 1963, promoting African unity and independence. He also implemented reforms in education, infrastructure, and governance. However, his rule ended in 1974 when he was overthrown by a socialist military coup. Today, he remains a revered figure, especially among Rastafarians who consider him a messianic figure. 5. Thomas Sankara, Burkina Faso, 1949 to 1987. Often called Africa's Che Guevara, Sankara was a revolutionary leader who led Burkina Faso from 1983 to 1987. He implemented radical reforms, including land redistribution, literacy programs, women's rights, and environmental protection. He rejected foreign aid and promoted self-sufficiency. His anti-corruption stance and opposition to imperialism made him popular but also led to his assassination in 1987. His legacy continues to inspire young African leaders and activists. 6. Patrice Lumumba, Democratic Republic of Congo, 1925 to 1961. Lumumba was Congo's first prime minister after independence from Belgium in 1960. A passionate nationalist, he sought to unify and modernize the country. However, his anti-colonial stance and opposition to Western 7. Jomo Kenyatta, Kenya, 1897 to 1978. Kenyatta led Kenya's independence movement and became its first president in 1963. He promoted economic growth, African nationalism, and stability. Under his rule, Kenya developed infrastructure and agriculture, making it one of Africa's most stable countries. However, his leadership was criticized for favoring his ethnic group and suppressing opposition. Despite this, he is widely regarded as the father of the nation in Kenya. 8. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, Liberia, 1938-present. Africa's first elected female president, Sirleaf served as Liberia's leader from 2006 to 2018. She played a crucial role in rebuilding Liberia after two brutal civil wars. She attracted international aid, promoted women's rights, and strengthened democratic institutions. In 2011, she won the Nobel Peace Prize for her work in empowering women and advancing peace. 9. Paul Kagame, Rwanda, 1957-present. Kagame has been Rwanda's president since 2000 and is credited with transforming the country after the 1994 genocide. He prioritized economic development, technological advancement, and security. Rwanda has become one of Africa's fastest-growing economies, with improved healthcare and education. However, his leadership is also criticized for restricting political opposition and media freedom. 10. Samora Machel, Mozambique, 1933 to 1986. Machel was the first president of Mozambique, leading the country after independence from Portugal in 1975. He was a Marxist revolutionary who sought to build a socialist state. He promoted literacy, healthcare, and land reforms, but his government faced economic struggles and civil war. Machel died in a suspicious plane crash in 1986, and his legacy remains strong as a freedom fighter and nationalist leader. These leaders left lasting impacts on Africa, shaping their nations through independence, development, and governance. Some are celebrated for their democratic principles, while others are remembered for their revolutionary efforts. Would you like a more detailed discussion on any specific leader?